This is New Jersey.
Harbor Tools. Yeah. Okay, this was a grocery store, and when I was working for my aunt, I had a pickup truck a Ford pickup truck, which held all my tools. My father helped me build a nice tool chest out of wood, which I kept all my tools. One day my aunt says, "Why don't you use the storeroom?" So this is an evolution of about 35 years, what you see here. The people taught me a lot. They've taught me things that I didn't want to learn, particularly about my own prejudices, my own subtle discriminatory ways with people. People taught me how to be more honest, to be confrontational, because I have learned that poorer people less, I'll say poorer than myself, will challenge you. They can read between lines. They can see the bullshit. So that was one of the hard lessons for me to learn, how to just be spontaneous and honest, because if I wasn't, it registered with people. And I've learned that tenants, at least in cities like this, and there are a lot of cities like Camden, they don't shop for price when they shop for a place to live. They shop for the reputation of a landlord. And I've been lucky so far. I've had tenants that have been here 25 years. I have tenants now 8 years, 10 years. I try and do all the work that I can do if there's a complaint. A lot of the tenants will, if I provide them with materials, paint or flooring, they're willing to do the work, so we work together. I've been going into homes for 37 years. I've seen how people live, how people talk, how they treat their kids, how they treat their animals. My observation has shown me that it's the women that keep the village going. But if the paternal side is broken, it's been neutered. Yeah, so it's the women. And the churches, the faith-based communities are also a feminine, matriarchal energy to keep it going. Yeah, there's no other way, because if it was just up to the men, well, look at Congress. We have all men in Congress, and we're invading countries left and right. Father Doyle, it's not unusual to see him with all the school kids marching down the street, going to the sewage plant around the corner, holding a cross, beating a drum, waving flags, screaming, petitioning the sewage plant to clean up its act. Indirectly, he's dealing with broken souls, abused women, children that are beat up, held up, frightened. That part I don't know. I'm just guessing. But he's created a motif around here, a strong weave of keeping people together. And more importantly, it keeps dreams alive, You need dreams to keep waking up in the next morning. And he's done that, and he's had a lot of support. And now his capacity, he's not so much an active priest with the congregation, but he solicits funds to keep this church going. It's well over $1 million a year to keep just the school going. So he's basically said I'm a professional beggar. I'm on the phone all day asking for money. We need more people like this. I don't know where they are, but Father Doyle's certainly a model for that. Yeah.
My name is Michael Doyle. I'm a Catholic priest, and I came from Ireland, as still obvious. I am here at Sacred Heart Church in South Camden, Broadway and Ferry, and I have been here for almost 38 years. Camden had 1,100 people when it was incorporated in 1828. By the end of the century, it's 75,000. And they were making everything here from a toilet seat to a battleship. everything. It was the place to make everything. It probably would match or be better than any town of its size in the whole world in terms of manufacture and the movement of goods out of it. But it got into shipbuilding in the beginning of the 20th century, 1901 or so. It got into that, and then that didn't really get going well until 1914 with the First World War, battleships and the military budget and all of that. And then the Second World War, there were 37,000 people working at building ships like 4 blocks from here. But they were battleships, and they were building 8 at a time.
Wow.
37,000 workers. But I say, well, they lived by the sword. That did very well until the war stopped. When the war stopped, there were no more battleships. And so the whole thing crumbled. And so there were 8 bays down there for building ships, and they could build 8 at a time. But it all crumbled because it depended on war. So that's why I say, as Jesus said, if you live by the sword, you'll die by the sword. We are terribly afflicted by drugs. So the drug world is that wasn't there in 1968 when I came. Nothing like the open air markets of drugs today. And last year, 50 young people were killed, murdered in this town. So that's the most difficult and constant struggle. And I believe that that law enforcement can in no way stop drugs, and therefore the approach is wrong, and the killing is terrible, and a lot of money has been made in the pretense of stopping drugs. From the judge to the jailer, everybody's making a buck, but nothing's happening. And 80% of people in jail around these areas are in jail for drugs, and they come out after a time, and 75% of those who come out go back. So it's a complete disaster. That's the real affliction of Camden at the moment, and so that's a big difference from the way it was when I came. The American dream gets caught up and slaughtered and choked in the driven, corporate greed, and everybody wants to have more when less is better.
Closer to the ground.
Closer to the ground. And, so you can, no matter how rich you are, you don't have a U-Haul after the hearse, You don't. You have to cut, as we come into this world naked and leave it naked. The only thing that you hold in your fist is what you gave away.
This is the family. I just put up some photos. This is actually Andrea. I'd say about 3 years ago, when the mural was being painted. And you want to know about the photos?
Yeah, sure.
All right. This is my grandfather. He died at 92. We don't know why he died. Nobody at the hospital didn't know. He just died. That was my father. That's when I was living in Amsterdam. This is kind of cute. It's pretty dusty. Obviously, I don't clean much. This is me when I was a kid. My aunt, who owned all these properties, like I said, she was 74 when she died. She owned 72 properties. That was my mother. That was my mother's sister, and her sister, Sistina, and that was their mother, Marguerite. A while later, I started reflecting about other people I was never paying attention to. People I had known for some years, never delved deeply into who they were, what they were about, where did they come from, what did they do. And I started asking, and I saw that there was some real substance in everybody. And at the same time, I wanted to shed a light on Camden that was not the stereotypical mythology of Camden's dangerous. Drugs, killing, rape. You know, I've been here 37 years. I've never been hit, never been robbed. I've never run into this. But again, this is something that media, mythology gets generated. We all need to put our suit somewhere. Let's pick a spot on the map. This is one of my tenants that's been here about 5 years, Al Lakaya. Can I do this?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Hi, Al. This is Steve Rogers and Ryan.
Yeah.
They just want to know a little bit about Camden. The street, the block, the energy, the people.
Well, I don't know too much about it, you know, but what I do know is they got a darn good landlord. One of the best in Camden. Why? Because he helps out people. He goes out of his way to help out people in the community. A lot of people can't get places to live because maybe they've gotten out of jail or they haven't established any credit yet. And he goes ahead and takes you as a person, as a human being. And he trusts you. And he lets you, he'll work with you until you get on your feet. I've been with him 4.5 years and I couldn't get a place to live because of my record that I had. But I've been here beautifully and safe with him. He can tell you, me and him never had a squabble about rent, about anything. So, and then Sacred Heart here in the area, they're doing so great. I mean, I just bought a house down the street, and Sacred Heart is just rebuilding all these broken down houses, and they bring them up and making Camden come up. I think Camden can come back, and I do agree with that. That's basically all I have to say about Camden.
When you were that age,
Yeah.
what did you want to be when you grew up?
Free. I always wanted to be free. I mean, that's kind of philosophical, but that's what comes to my mind. But to be truthful, I didn't know. It was such a safe world back. Now we're talking the 50s here, maybe early I'd say 50s, late 50s. Oh yeah, definitely the 50s, maybe 54. People didn't think about, at least in the community I grew up, neighborhood, which was mostly working class, blue collar. And we didn't think I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor. You had a lot of industry, you had RCA. My mother would say, go to RCA, get a job, you'll retire when you're 60, 65. So that was the extent of that world, that working world. Very different today. So what did I want to be? I got to go back to being free. Finding the loopholes in life.